Brad Stevens has done it again. Now it's Kristaps Porzingis on the move less than 24 hours after Jrue Holiday was traded. Let's react live right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Yup. Beantown, be ever ready. It's the C's. Who else could it be? What they gon' say now? Screaming like JT Corrales. Recap the madness every game, every practice. Primetime Depp and D White on the sideline. Rain and Jace, how it started, raising business, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, going live. We never go live. Now it's live 2 days in a row because Kristaps Porzingis has been traded. Brad Stevens just a maniac right now. So I want to thank you for making this Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. This show is free. It's available Monday through Friday. If you're new here, checking it out, subscribe. It's available everywhere. It is here on YouTube. Get into the comment section, share your thoughts with me. I'm John Corrales, a beat writer covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. I've been doing a version of this job for about 20 years now. I've written a couple of books on the team. So it's one of my favorite things to do. And this is 9 years. This is a 9-year anniversary of this podcast. So what a time to be here as a long tenured member of the Locked On Podcast Network. Yesterday talking about the Jrue Holiday trade. Today talking about the Kristaps Porzingis trade. And I'm going to do it today. We got reaction with Tom Westerholm. You can find his work at boston.com. What's going on, Tom?
What up?
Well, just Brad Stevens completely reshaping the team in about 24 hours and getting look, initial reaction right away. Let me just get this out of the way. So whenever I think I have a handle on what the Celtics might be doing, Brad's like, nope, we're going to completely destroy you and let you know that this is why we get paid all the money to run the Boston Celtics, and you're over there going, ooh, golf clapping. Like, oh, very, very nice move. Very nice move.
Very good, sir. Well done.
Well done. I succumb to your greatness and be like, all right, let's like reverse engineer, like, oh, okay, I didn't think of that. So Porzingis,
this is why this thing that neither of us predicted in any way makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, exactly. It is something I completely didn't see coming. The most obvious thing it's a 3-team trade that sends Porzingis, I think, through Brooklyn into Atlanta. The Celtics get Georges Niang. There's a second-round pick going out, second-round pick coming back, so they don't really lose a pick there. And Terrence Mann goes from Atlanta to Brooklyn. So Brooklyn has 5 first-round picks and Terrence Mann, and like, okay, it's just Brooklyn rebuilding, and they control 1/6 of the NBA draft. So their entire summer league team is going to be drafted on one night. Yeah. But the Celtics, the net effect here is in 2 nights or in one 24-hour span, Brad Stevens has gone from $20+ million over the second apron to about $7 million under.
Yeah.
Turning a $30 million Kristaps Porzingis into an $8 million Georges Niang.
Yeah.
By brilliantly using the Brooklyn cap space as kind of like a clearance, like you're laundering money. You're just like laundering your whatever you want to call it. You're just going, okay, yep, we're just going to wash it right through Brooklyn, comes out clean on the other side. Now the Celtics are under the second apron.
Yeah, they're under the second apron after yesterday bringing in a guy who's going to make $27 million next year. Like, and obviously they cut some salary there, but they didn't cut much, and he still managed to get them under the apron. And again, bring in this guy that it's like, hey, if you like, you're in a great position now with Simons, because if you want to take a flyer on him and see like, hey, how does he fit? How does he fit on this team? Yeah, absolutely. You're under the second apron. And if something does pop up where you're like, all right, I mean, hey, we could clear even more. We could get on, we could really get down there. Like, we could really put ourselves in a great salary position. You got it. Also, you have this $27 million contract. if you want to start making some bigger moves. It's a much. I mean, it's really not that it's a huge surprise, right? Because Brad's been doing this. Like, every time it's like, oh man, Brad's gonna have to make some moves, and then Brad does it, and it's like, yeah, wow, well done.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much how I feel after. Obviously, I know Celtics fans are kind of hurting, right? Because to like see Drew Holiday go out the door, and like, some people got pretty sick of Porzingis, but like other people really liked him, whatever. But like realistically, I mean, we talked before all this started about what it would mean if the Celtics did this without giving up first round picks, and here we are. Like
that might be like this is, and I hate to be this guy because I want to be like critical.
Yeah.
I want to be like, okay, we gotta objectively be like, but no, it's like, God, Brad is brilliant here. Okay. So in these two quick moves, he like turning Porzingis into $8 million contract, Georges Niang, who I apologize to George and his family for constantly referring to him as the piece of paper on which he has signed and agreed to a certain amount of money. But that's really what this is all about, is the contract. But to do that is brilliant. To get, buddy, they are $4.6 million away from the first apron.
Yep.
They can get under the first apron soon, which opens up another flurry of things. And they didn't have to attach any picks. They can go into Wednesday night and make that 28th pick. Or if Steve Bulpett is reporting, which is always solid, is to believe like they might be trying to move up. There could be a maneuvering to move up in this draft. I'm shocked. I'm shocked at how quickly they pivoted from Porzingis. They very clearly, I think, saw this opportunity and said, 2 years of Porzingis, neither of them have been healthy. And on top, they've been so careful with him.
Yeah.
They've been so careful. They did everything right. Talking about treating him with kid gloves. And he still wasn't available for most of the finals. And he still wasn't himself in these playoffs when they really needed him.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, like, hey, on a personal level, I think Porzingis is awesome. I think he's been great. He's been always great to us. He's been fun. The fans love him and all that stuff. But NBA's always been a business. But now more than ever with this second apron, it's like, sorry, buddy. It's just not cutting it. It's straight salary dump of Porzingis to get there, to do it without giving up the first round picks. So I didn't even put any stock into this 28th pick because I thought for sure it would be gone. For sure it would be gone. I would have bet a paycheck on that 28th pick not being made.
Yeah, if I told you that the Celtics brought in, like, did the salary maneuver, brought in Niang, brought in Anthony Simons, and got to this point, and they attached a first-round pick to do it, you'd be like, all right, yeah, like, fair enough. You did pretty well. Like, you did pretty well. Like, Brad did all this, well, with the whole league knowing that he wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And the whole league very publicly saw that Kristaps Porzingis was not part of either run. Like, and what's crazy too, right? And I think there's something to this too. He did this without, like, I don't think he fleeced these teams really, and I think that kind of matters. I don't think he's getting this. I don't know that he's going to end up with this reputation of like, oh, you can't deal with Brad. Like, Brad's going to, like that Danny Ainge thing. It's like, no, like, these guys are like, I mean, Portland, that's a pretty good deal for Portland. I like what Portland did with that deal. And I really think that Brad also did quite well. Same thing here, right? It's like, who comes away from this being like, oh man, we got robbed? Nobody.
If you're an Atlanta fan, you're like, we gave up Georges Niang for a shot at Kristaps Porzingis.
I have seen a lot of people being like, oh man, if Porzingis stays healthy, this is really. I'm like, oh buddy.
Right. I know. We're like, yeah, we if
sure. Yeah. If he does, sure thing, buddy.
But who cares if he doesn't?
Yeah.
Because it's Georges Niang.
Yep.
And like, yeah, Georges Niang and a second round pick and you get Porzingis and you get to talk yourself into Kristaps Porzingis, you're like, yeah, of course Atlanta makes that deal.
Yeah.
I haven't even listened to Lockdown Hawks yet, but guarantee they're going to be like, you would be stupid not to make that deal.
Yeah.
And Brad's just like, here you go. But Boston, on the Boston side, it's like, oh my God, now they have flexibility. They have so much flexibility. Let's come back and talk about, because this is why these trades are wins. You get so many different directions that the Celtics can go in, and they hard caps all of this stuff. They could do anything here. We'll discuss that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Open Phone. Open Phone is going to help you run your business, because every missed call is money left on the table. If you ever have made a phone call for an urgent need, a plumber, some kind of service provider, if you don't get that first answer on your first phone call, you don't wait around. You make the next call. You move on. That's why you need Open Phone. It's the #1 business phone system built to streamline and scale your customer communications, all from an app on your phone or on your computer. It lets you manage business calls and text from a single app. Shared inbox can let your entire team jump into a conversation instantly without missing a beat. And their AI agent handles after-hours calls, answers common questions, captures leads, so you never miss a customer. Open Phone is offering you, if you're running your business, 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That's openphone, openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. When you're done here with this live stream, head on over to Locked On NBA Big Board. Locked On Big Board has Rafael Barlow. You're going to get caught up. You're going to do a crash course on the draft. Binge that show when you're done with this podcast, because they're going to get you caught up. Rafael is he's incredible at his job here. So he's a beast when it comes to the draft. So go check him out. Let's get back into this conversation here with Tom Westerholm. The trade here now opens up all of these different avenues. I don't know if Anthony Simons or Georges Niang play a minute for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
If they do, okay, fine. If they don't, okay, fine.
I would like to go on record saying I really hope Simons plays. He's fun to watch, man. I'm about it.
He's your type of guy.
He is, and not a Celtics type of guy. Whenever guys like this end up on the Celtics, they always get moved along right away. I never get to watch. This is why I like Jordan Crawford so much. Just a bucket getter. And yeah, again, gone in 2 weeks. Like the worst. So
that's where this is. I think that's where this is heading.
Yeah.
Look, now you're $7. They're $7 million plus under the.
I take everything good I said about Brad back if he trades Simons. All right.
Look, the options are you can keep these guys. Simons, we know. I talked about that yesterday. Niang is fine. He's fine. $8 million. He's on an expiring deal. He can sit at the end of the bench. I know people are pissed off at him because he grabbed Jaylen Brown's leg, and they had
it was a pretty messed up thing to do. I mean,
it was a stupid thing to do. But he's also from like Methuen or Lawrence or something, and like, okay, he's a Massachusetts kid. He's grown up a Celtics fan. He'll do one interview. We'll do one feature on him, and people will be like, I can't stay mad at you, and whatever. So if he sticks around, maybe he's what, 8th man, 9th man. Yeah. Maybe he doesn't play a few games, but he's a career 40% 3-point shooter. He can get out there and hit some shots. It's not the end of the world if he gets out there and plays some spot minutes.
No, not at all.
And he'll walk at the end of the year, right? It's not a long-term thing. $8 million off your books next year and done. So whatever, fine. But now one of the big side effects is the Celtics can now aggregate salaries in a trade. And we talk about deep sea fishing, Tom. You can take Simons, $27.7 million.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Yeah.
And then you add $8 million to that, and you're like, oh, damn, we're like 35. That's a big number.
Yeah.
You can go out there and like start looking around and saying, oh, wow, Brad could go get somebody. And think about, like, you've moved, all you have lost so far is Holiday and Porzingis.
Yep.
So if you package these guys and go get somebody, I don't know who it is, but if you package these guys and get somebody that's in that range, maybe makes it a little less, you can save even more money and get a really good player in that range. And you're like, oh, okay. So now you basically traded Drew for this guy and you salary dump Porzingis, and like, I feel better about that. And you've only lost one player, and we still haven't done the Sam Hauser salary dump. We still haven't done any of that stuff. And you're drafting somebody coming up. Like, that to me is the biggest thing to the flexibility of just packaging and aggregating in a trade now. Man, like, Brad Stevens gets to stretch his legs a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the crazy thing too is, right, we've talked about this. The Celtics are not going to be the only team that has to dump good players. Like,
that's right.
There's gonna be other teams that have to dump guys. And like, I mean, who knows how soon, who knows like how far down the road people are looking at this current stage, right? But I mean, guys, we've talked about it. Guys are gonna start popping up that you're like, that guy was available. And I mean, it's going to be interesting because like the Celtics were really under a microscope for what they were going to have to do, because they were one of the first teams to have to do this, right? They were one of the first teams to have this big crunch, to be like a really good team who now has to like, give guys up. There's going to be teams that you don't see coming that have to give guys up. And the Celtics have now put themselves in a position, whether that's, before the start of the season, or whether that's, a couple months into the season and stuff starts to happen. Like, there's going to be possibilities. There's going to be options here.
There are definitely options. I'm just kind of like cruising through and look, I don't know who
it would be wild, right? If they packaged these guys, like you said, got somebody who was a little bit cheaper and still really good, and ended up under the other line, right? To where it's like, you brought in all these guys and you're, free as a bird. Like,
it's incredible. It's incredible to think, because you can keep Niang, you can trade Simons, you can get somebody that's somewhat close to as good, whatever. And there are, some expiring deals out there. I don't know. I think there's room to move. And this is just the big thing, where when you have options, you can do kind of, now you can start playing, because one of the questions that I got a lot was, hey, do you think the NBA is going to play hardball with the Celtics because they know they need to cut salary? Well, you know what? They don't have to do that anymore. The Celtics can sit there and be like, we've cut our salary. Now we get to team build. And this is where, like, my brain, I just feel like I felt like the Celtics were stuck. Like, okay, are you team building or are you cutting? And I felt like you had to pick one lane. They've picked that lane. They've been in it. They've been out of it. They're on the off ramp. They're on a different highway now. You're like, wait a second. So now the Celtics can start playing a little bit. They're not bound by certain rules, and they can, do things where you can actually start thinking about, like, even like sign-in trades are there. There's the hard caps are there. You can now that Sam Hauser salary dump that we've been talking about, like, we're still willing to do that, right?
Sure.
And so now you're 4.6 million under over the first cap. Salary dump him, sign and trade for somebody in a move like this. And okay, so what if you're hard capped at the first apron? Big deal.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're not even talking about the exponential savings. What does saving $22 million do for the new ownership group? Yeah. Brad Stevens has a job for life. Yeah. They just saved these new guys $100 million. Yeah. The Drew trade was $40 million just by saving a few. The Porzingis trade, I mean, that was probably over $100 million in tax savings right there alone. Yeah. So, I mean, if we really want to get crazy, they're $12.6 million away from the luxury tax. There's a path now that they can get under the tax, which I did not even think was coming, which would be extreme, but it's I mean, even that's not out of the question.
No.
So if this season is like, hey, you know what? Jason Tatum's not coming back. Stop that pipe dream. This is the gap year and we're going to figure it out. You can turn around and maybe get under the tax this year.
Right.
And that would at least, you can start trying to reset some of these things. So, and we haven't even talked about, let's take a second here. We'll talk about, they can re-sign guys. The Luke Cornett, Al Horford question can be answered, so let's talk about that when we come back. Today's show is brought to you by Wayfair. I know that, I already have like half my stuff around here from Wayfair, and we're doing the outdoors. We're setting up a whole patio thing. I'm going to be going back. My wife and I are going to be texting each other links to Wayfair patio stuff. They've made it so easy to turn your outdoor space into something that feels like yours. It's comfortable. It's stylish. It's ready for summer. They have everything at Wayfair to level up your outdoor space. Conversation sets, outdoor bars, fire pits, hot tubs, gazebos. I do not even want to say all those things because I'm going to have to do 10 podcasts a day to pay for everything. Even with the great prices at Wayfair, my wife's going to be like, oh, this is cheap. This is cheap. This is cheap. This looks great. So if you want to redesign your home for summer, you can do that at Wayfair. Whatever your style is it clean and modern? Is it something with a little bit more flowery? Whatever you want, whatever your budget, it's there. It can fit your space, it can fit your wallet. Delivery free, fast, totally hassle-free, even with the bigger items. So now you can host your friends. I'm looking forward to having everybody over, hosting a graduation party, all in my brand new Wayfair designed outdoor space. Don't wait, make your outdoor space a dream oasis today with Wayfair and enjoy it all summer long. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop a huge outdoor selection. That's WAYFAR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You can check out the Locked On NBA mock draft. That is available everywhere. It's a 5-episode series with the most comprehensive draft analysis from NBA experts, college experts, NBA draft experts. You can find the 2025 Locked On NBA mock draft on NBA Big Board and Locked On NBA on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So, Tom, the Celtics, they got money. They got some money to spend. Luke Cornett, I thought the extensions, the Gafford extension was like $20 million there. Is that going to be the market for a big? I hold open some question about Cornett. Are teams really going to be willing to give him a ton of money? Is he a system guy? But even if teams say, hey, we'll take a chance on him, the Celtics have money and he likes it here. They can offer him more than the minimum now.
Yeah.
They can go back over the second apron if they need to and get back under with a subsequent trade. They have money. They can give him the $7 million and he could be like, that's enough. That's enough for me. You give Al Horford the minimum and maybe you've got your front court set now too.
Yeah. No, who knows how much longer, you can keep riding the Al Horford thing, but he was the most reliable big on the team, especially defensively. And hey, if you plan to if you want to bring Anthony Simons onto the team and kind of bring him into the season a little bit, see what you got, you're going to need good defenders on this team, because that is one thing that guy does not do very well. So have a guy who has shown in Cornett, right, that he can protect the rim, that he can play really good drop coverage, that he can, even if he's a system guy, he's quite good at that system. If you can keep Horford around, hey, if you do make any kind of a postseason push, if this team, and again, this team could end up being pretty good, not going to be as good as last year. Everybody knows that, but the team that they've got right now, if they brought back Cornett and Horford, absolutely a playoff team, right? Yeah. I no question in the Eastern Conference. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
And then it's if Tatum does even if it takes till April, even if it takes till late March, April, he could be coming back to a playoff team. The Celtics could be that 6th seed that everybody's like, we worked all year and we got the 3rd seed and we got to face the Celtics with Tatum back. Like they could just be that nightmare matchup, you know, because they would have a good big rotation. They'll have good players all over the floor and a workable. I don't know. This podcast is annoying because we just are saying, like you said, we're just saying nice things about Brad. I don't know. Yeah,
I know. It really is, but
the possibilities are all there now.
Listen, this is the honest reaction that, you know, I would love to be worried about something, you know, not that I want to be worried about anything, but I would love to be able to
sound more honest as a journalist if you're super negative. So it's you know, but I don't know.
But my honest reaction, I believe, when we know, I guess you got to put this in the context of knowing what the goal was. You knew they had to cut salary. You knew they had to, they would get worse as, you know, talent wise. Is a team with Simons and Niang as good as Holiday and Porzingis? No, but we knew that. I've said all along what the Celtics are doing. You got to minimize the damage here. As a freaking fly somewhere gets in here.
What's going on?
What is going on here?
Is it going between the pictures?
It's like, I don't know. It'd be amazing. But I know that they're not as good, but it's about minimizing the damage. I've written this, said it a million times. You have a goal to accomplish, and you did financially. And there's still more you can do now because you still haven't fired all the bullets. So you managed to do that. Get back Simons, who's a good offensive player. I mean, he will score points. It'll change who the Celtics are, just their DNA. It's not going to be a defensive team. Simons can be attacked. If Niang's on the floor, he's going to be attacked. But both of those guys can hit shots. And you know what? Sometimes that would be enough.
Yeah.
And no one's going to sit here and pretend the Celtics are, hey, here's a contender. Here comes banner 19. But they didn't eliminate themselves from it. And that's the big thing. So that's why I'm so positive about this.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk? We talked a couple podcasts ago about somebody for Flashcard Friday asked should they play faster? And Pritchard, Simons, Jaylen Brown, man, run,
get up and down.
You're gonna get some buckets.
They will get up and down.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you can start to see the vision with the team that they've built, and they can just make moves to improve that team. If they start to develop, yes, their identity is going to change. Anytime that you give up players from a team that had five guys who ranged from surefire to borderline all-stars, all 5 of your guys in the starting lineup were that. So yes, they were going to get, things were going to change when they had to get rid of some of those guys. So their identity is going to change. But when they get this new identity, when they start to put together a cohesive identity that makes sense, they can then go out and get guys who supplement the new identity perfectly because they have flexibility now. So the shift just becomes so much easier because whatever you morph into, it's going to be easier to build around that because of these moves.
So I guess if we want to take it down a less celebratory road, we can take a moment to just, I guess, bemoan the fact that they were required to do this. And I'm looking at a tweet from Adam Himmelsbach that said the general mood within the organization is somber because basically it sucks to trade 2 good players and people who helped you win a title. I said this about Holiday in last night's live. I'll say the same thing. I said earlier about Porzingis. In that locker room, 2 highly respected guys. That locker room, one of the criticisms, I guess, of this team, was that they were boring, that they were just there's no drama. My wife, a reality TV watcher, is sitting there these guys, there's no drama. Can somebody say something? Can somebody at least like say something controversial? Anything? I'm like, no. These guys, I've joked millions of times. If I had a daughter and she came home with one of last year's Boston Celtics and said, "Hey, this is my new boyfriend," I'd be like, "Great, this is amazing. This is a great dude." Like all of these people like think that they're all really good. So yes, like it's good people, good vibes in that locker room. So it does suck. I said during the season, like, appreciate what these guys are because it's not going to happen. It's not going to hang around. And it didn't. And it sucks. And there's a lot of people like talking about, second apron. Like the second apron is coming for everybody. Every good team. What we're watching is the second apron doing its work. So, hey, OKC, you're so set up for the future. But like, you're going to get expensive real fast.
Yep.
And this is what the second apron does. This is the Celtics in Phoenix. There's a couple of teams here that are dealing with it, but the Celtics are in that first group, that first test phase, and this is our first chance to really, really see what the second apron does to a team. The days of spending your way and just, we'll just pay the tax and staying good, they're done. Yeah. So now we get to celebrate. Like, under no circumstances prior to today would we ever be celebrating Kristaps Porzingis for Georges Niang and a second round pick.
Right, for sure.
But today, because of the second apron, because of what the Celtics needed to do and what it now allows them to do, we're like, wow, that's a great move. So it changes the calculus a little bit here, but that's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this celebratory mood is this started the day that Tatum got hurt. Where it was like that was the moment that you knew everything was going to change, that this offseason, guys who you like were going to be gone. Guys who helped this team win a title were going to be gone. Guys who were great in the locker room were going to be gone. Like, you knew that at that point. So like, if you've been paying attention, you've had a chance to sort of, I guess, adjust to that fact, to adjust to the fact that the Celtics were going to take a step back in terms of talent. And the question was just going to be, okay, how, like you said, damage mitigation, right? Like you're trying to avoid just really tons of picks out the door to make this all happen. Like the nightmare scenario of having to, like, I don't know, trade Derek White because nobody wanted the other guy. You know what I mean? Like there were bad potential scenarios out there. And the reason that it's, celebratory right now, like you said, has absolutely nothing to do with Jrue Holiday or Kristaps Porzingis being out the door. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. It is just the fact that, like, the damage was mitigated really, really well. Like, just expertly mitigated. So yeah, no, I mean, for sure. Jrue Holiday going out, you're losing a top quality guy. Like, I think everything you read about him, everything that you see about him, all the stuff that he's done in the community, that guy going out the door sucks. Just full out, flat, Porzingis, similar thing. But, the way that they're set up now, there's some real potential to rebuild quickly, retool quickly.
We'll see what's next. I'm afraid. I'm kind of glad this is the live podcast, because at least if Brad pulls another move, this is out there. It's in the ether. It's done. You've guys
content as we speak. Content's being produced.
Listen, I have a mailbag podcast that I did for yesterday that has gotten forgotten. If you guys are bored, it's gotten like 800 views. It's just been swept under the thousands of Jrue Holiday and all of this stuff. But if you don't mind going back and checking out the mailbag podcast, I put a lot of time and effort into doing that one, and that's just dying on the vine. But it's there. This is obviously much more interesting, and I probably said some outdated things on that. But it
was very funny that yesterday you were texting me about, like, hey, can you come on and we'll do We'll do a draft podcast today, and we'll talk about who they might take with the 28th pick.
Yeah. Let's prepare ourselves, do our research for a draft podcast. And now it's like, yeah, whatever. We'll figure out who they picked. Which on Wednesday night I will be at the Celtics practice facility. Brad Stevens will talk. So tomorrow's podcast will be like 5 minutes of, okay, here's who the 28th pick was. Here's everything Brad said about Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis. If he can say anything, because these trades aren't official.
Right.
Which might be his way out of talking about this stuff.
Also, he might not be talking about the 28th pick. We'll see.
Which is true.
We'll see.
Maybe my bet on the they don't make that pick, it would still pay off.
Yeah.
But regardless.
Does it pay off? Does it pay off if they pick higher up?
I think if I technically I would say
the 28th.
If I sit there and said I would have bet my paycheck that they don't make the 28th pick in the draft, I would win because it would be whatever other pick. I don't know how they trade up, but I also didn't know how they would get Porzingis for Niang, and they did. So I don't know. Brad, anything is possible with Brad. Like, should we just preemptively do a Cooper Flag episode in Boston just in case?
We could be the first ones to post that thing. Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
All right, Tom, I appreciate you hopping on as always. And I do appreciate everybody here in the live. I see the chat. Thank you, everybody who's been here chatting away. The comments are flying. Thank you so much for all the comments, everybody. Much more. Again, tomorrow, Wednesday, I will be at the practice facility post-draft. I don't know what Brad Stevens is going to be able to say, but he will say something, I hope. And so the next podcast will have whatever reaction from the team, whatever reaction from the draft. I will be there. So make sure you're subscribed, get that podcast. And then we'll see after the second round, we'll have maybe a little bit more, maybe a breath that we can take and react to the actual draft. So make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Obviously, we're here on YouTube. Get into that comment section on all of the podcasts and let everybody know what you're thinking. And then I would love it if you're an everydayer, if you're with me every Monday through Friday. This podcast is free. It's daily. If you're an everydayer with me, thank you so much. Can you share the podcast and tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network? It is your team every day.